From New Jersey, Mr. Menendez, for his 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm frustrated that Republicans on this committee have chosen to engage in this political exercise and are proceeding to willfully misinterpret the U.S. Constitution and every precedent from the past 250 years by impeaching Secretary Mayorkas. Last week, one of our Republican colleagues said he was not likely to support any compromise border bill because, quote, "I'm not willing to do too damn much right now to help a Democrat and to help Joe Biden's approval rating. I will not help the Democrats try to improve this man's dismal approval ratings. I'm not going to do it. Why would I?" End quote. Why would he? Because we need to work together to address the critical issues that our committee has jurisdiction over. Because we owe it to our constituents and our communities to meet this moment. But that's not what this hearing is about. Because when you talk about approval ratings and not wanting to help Democrats, not wanting to help this administration, not wanting to help our president, you undermine the seriousness of what is being discussed today. And you make clear what this has always been, political pursuit. Speaking of politics, I have a few yes or no questions for the 3 attorney generals here today. You are all elected officials, is that correct?
Yes. I was appointed to my office subject to election by the people.
Understood. And you are all Republicans, is that correct?
Yes.
And lastly, in 2016 and 2020, President Trump won in the states that you serve as Attorney General of?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's fair to conclude that it's politically beneficial for you to be supportive of the former president and his policies and oppose President Biden's policies, as is the case for all of our Republican colleagues here on this committee. But constitutional law is clear on this point. Policy, political differences are not appropriate grounds for impeachment. Mr. Bowman, is that correct? Yes or no?
It is.
Thank you. House Republicans have said they will not support, quote, "another dime," end quote, for DHS until the enactment of H.R. 2, their extreme anti-immigrant border bill that would severely restrict our legal immigration system, a bill that would endanger migrant lives by denying asylum seekers their legal right to seek protection in the United States, and reinstating dangerous policies that force migrants to remain in unsafe conditions, such as remain in Mexico. But Republicans know that H.R. 2 is so cruel and unworkable that it will never become law. But that's what they use to say we're doing something here. That's what we're doing on this committee in this Congress. Instead, Republicans could support President Biden's request for funding for more CBP officers and fentanyl detection technology to increase CBP's capacity to identify bad actors and drugs at our southern border. But no, they won't support this funding or any solution that would help this administration carry out border security efforts, because it would weaken their political talking points. That's been their strategy this entire administration. In this committee, we have real opportunities to work on substantive issues together across the aisle. Instead, my Republican colleagues are distorting this committee and its mandate to safeguard our nation's homeland security into a vehicle for false narratives about migrants and the border. Professor Bowman, let me ask you a question. Is it appropriate to impeach Secretary Mayorkas because of policy disagreements?
No.
Is it appropriate to impeach Secretary Mayorkas because Republicans refuse to properly fund DHS and allow him to do his job?
Well, I don't want to characterize the actions of the Republicans, but certainly you don't impeach people.
We'll take your
for
first part of the
disagreements
answer.
about politics.
Professor Bowman, is it appropriate to impeach Secretary Mayorkas because Republicans would rather narrate a crisis to score political points than work with the administration to strengthen the security of our border?
It's certainly not appropriate to impeach a cabinet officer over political or policy disagreements.
I agree. Attorney General Drummond, thank you for your testimony, your written testimony. I went through it. I appreciate it. This day and age, we deal a lot with sourcing and citations. I noticed there was a single source in yours, and it was to the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Are you aware that the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated the Federation for American Immigration Reform as a hate group whose leaders have ties to white nationalists?
I'm not.
Yeah, completely understandable. I would just let you know that a lot of the sources that have been used in all this investigative materials and reports that have been put forth by the majority have relied on far-right, anti-immigrant think tanks and groups that are not aligned with what I believe our country's morals and values are. And that's a problem with a lot of the reports that this hearing, that this impeachment process and procedure has been based on. And that's where this all falls apart for me. I really wish we were engaging in a thoughtful exercise. I really wish we were trying to solve some of the challenges that we're facing, but that's not what today is about. And with that, I yield back.